my great pleasure to welcome you to public lecture of the FSMVU-UII Joint Studio course in this event semester or spring semester academic year 2020-2021. As you may already know, my name is Leah. I will be your host for this event. And to start this public lecture, let's recite Basmalah all together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hopefully all of this session could be fruitful for all of us and bring a lot of manfaat. In this public lecture, as you may know, titled Design Performance Evaluation, we will hear presentation from our invited speaker, Mrs. Aisya Zakiah, ST M.Arch, from Department of Architecture, Universitas Islam Indonesia. But before we hear from Bu Aisya, please allow me to introduce her via her short resume or short bio. So Ibu Aisya Zakiah is a lecturer of our department. She graduated from the University of Melbourne in 2016 with Master of Architecture degree. And she currently serves as managing editor of the Journal of Architectural Research and Design Studies in our department too. And her research focuses on green building, building energy, urban energy, architectural modeling, and building integrated photovoltaic or BIPV. Sorry. She is interested in exploring the BIPV potential in various urban morphology using multi-objectives optimization and generative design. So I would like to invite Mrs. Aisya Zakiah, ST M.Arch, to give his lecture. Please, Bu Aisya, time and screen is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Leah, for the introduction. Today, I was invited, or maybe I give the opportunity to share with all of you about the design performance evaluation. So thank you very much for the invitation. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
May I share my screen? Let me start possibility.
Miss Bu Aisya?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. Hopefully it's shown in the screen.
Yes, it's already seen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bu Leah, and other lecturer who already joined us for today, and also all of the students. So I was assigned to design about design performance evaluation. It's a bit different with the one in the poster, but actually we are going to talk the same thing here. So I put here the title is building performance evaluation, which is more common, but it's actually also talking the same thing because we are in the design stage in the studio. Actually, we have more people who is more expert than me to talk about this, like Dr. Aisya and also Bu Leah or Bu Sharifa. But let me share a bit about some of my experience or some of literature that I read, and maybe the discussion we can get more insight from the experts about the experience too. So let me start about this. So talking about the building performance, so what is it actually, the building performance? So we can say here that building performance can be defined as a concept that describes the building ability to perform its tasks and function. The task and function could be very specific. It's really depend on the building that is designed. It also can be defined as the degree of construction to control over the delivery process, or maybe the success of the design as a presentation or entertainment. So it's really depend on your design goal. The next one, maybe I want to talk about what is the building performance evaluation. So the building performance evaluation, actually, this is the process for evaluating the performance. The performance that is evaluated could be really specific, or it could be include anything that you want to do. such as, for example, the energy use, maybe the occupant comfort, and anything else. And this building performance evaluation actually can be done in any stage of the project. For example, from the planning, the programming, from in the design stage, in the construction, or maybe occupancy, or after the demolition or refurbishment of the building. But looking at what our stage here in the architectural design studio, so I would say that we are going to do the building performance evaluation during the design stage. So in the design stage, we can do design review. Actually, in the real project, we can also do this building performance evaluation after the construction, so post-construction evaluation, or maybe the most common one is post-occupancy evaluation. So if the building already built or already occupied, we can do like direct measurement about the energy use, the comfort, or maybe the occupant assessment. We ask the occupant about what they feel about the building, whether the building can perform like what we wanted in the design stage. Then after that, I think we are going to talk more about the building performance evaluation during the design stage, because maybe the most relevant one with you have now in the studio. So then what kind of building performance can be evaluated during the design stage? It's actually quite wide, the range. So you can do anything actually. This is some example that we can do during the design stage. Like we can evaluate about the energy use, the solar radiation, maybe daylight penetration, airflow, natural ventilation, acoustic performance, visual connection, occupant comfort. We can do that, or maybe something like wayfinding, accessibility, or crowd simulation. We can also do that during the design stage. So how to assessing the building performance in the design stage? Because your building is not built yet at the time when you have your design. So during the design review of your building need to be done by utilizing some kind of tools. Some of the most common one may be the building performance simulation, the BPS, or we can also utilizing like virtual reality to help us with that, or maybe prototyping. Prototyping may be more suitable if we want to test some kind of like structural thing, like maybe using like 3D printing that we discussed before. I think that's also real helpful for doing this kind of building performance during the design stage. So why it's really important to evaluate the building performance? The intention of having this building performance, especially in design stage, is to minimize the performance gap between the design intention and also the actual performance. So I think in this stage, the student maybe already have the design intention that they really want to put in their design. Just give a little example. For example, I have a building design, and I have the design intention to minimize the solar radiation on the building envelope. Then I did a building performance simulation. So maybe I make that simulation, that I got the result about how the solar radiation around the building. Then from that point, I can give an intervention to the design. For example, I put a shading on it, then I can run the simulation again. And at that point, I have my goals to minimize the solar radiation in the facades. So that's how the building performance evaluation actually can help us to make the actual performance and design intention can achieve its goal. Yeah, so you can test it first. It's not based on the assumption. We utilizing some tools to looking at that performance, the specific performance that we really want to achieve in our design. So talking about the design intention, how we can do that, and how we can using the building performance evaluation to make us closer to our design intention. We actually can do like the overall calculation, or maybe we can just test like part of that. For example, we have design goals like increase the occupant comfort in a building or in an area. We can test there's actually like several software to test about the occupant comfort, but we can also doing it like partially about testing the airflow and also the temperature, because one of that parameter could really affect the occupant comfort. So we can test only partially of that parameters. That, for example, we want that our building use less energy by reducing the cooling load. In Indonesia, the main source of energy use is come from the cooling load. So we can test, for example, as simply as testing the building envelope, how the solar radiation penetrate the building envelope, and by minimizing that solar radiation in the building envelope, we can minimize the external load and further reduce the energy use or the energy consumption. The other thing we can also talking about improving the occupant health or the inhabitant health. Maybe because of this pandemic issue, some people may be interested with that. So we can test, for example, like daylight penetration, because daylight help to kill germs and also viruses. So we can use that kind of assumption using this with the building performance evaluation to give a justification about the design goal or design intention that we have. Using the virtual reality, I think it's more common currently. There are some cheap equipment for us to experiencing with the virtual reality. So using this, we also can doing the building performance evaluation, like showing about the environment, the system of our building, the construction process. We can do that with VR, building safety. Sometimes also people really love it to use this evaluation of the space perception, because you use the real human, but with the virtual reality environment. So that's really helpful if you have that kind of intention about the space perception for the occupant. We can utilizing this VR. Or maybe if you want to have a simulation about the evacuation or fraud simulation in a building, we can also utilizing this system. Here is the example of using VR for looking at the construction simulation about the building elements, how they put in the construction site and how the construction process going on. So we can do that currently with VR, or maybe visualization of the airflow. So this is the combination between the building performance analysis plus VR for the realistic 3D visualization. So we can do that. Sorry. But then before we seeing about what kind of the building performance evaluation that we can do in our design, since most of the building performance really look at the basic of the building. I think it's really good for us to be a climate conscious. So you really need to think about climate conscious design. Every location, every country have different climate, and you really need to understand about this condition first. For example, in tropics, in Indonesia, we normally avoid heat all the year round, because it can increase the temperature inside, so we avoid it. But maybe in area with summer and winter season, the building normally avoid heat during summer, but welcoming sun to penetrate during winter. So we really need to understand about that before we starting with the building performance evaluation. Also in Indonesia, we can also think about the climate. We have a hot and humid climate here, and the crucial factor to achieving the thermal comfort, we can look at the air temperature, the radiant temperature, and also the relative humidity. From that point, we can take some parameter which affecting that kind of factors. For example, the relative humidity is really depend on the air movement and also the air velocity. So that's two parameters is the most important one we can do. For example, just one simulating one parameter to analyzing the overall building, no need to test everything. It's really depend on your design intention. If your design intention to make the air movement stronger, something like that, we can do that. In Indonesia, other than shared air movement, also to reduce the radiant temperature, we can also provide like cool surface with a lot of innovation on it, using green surface or maybe thermal mass with several things of innovation with cooling it with water. So this kind of thing, we really need to understand first about what kind of parameter we need to set based on our design intention or our design goals. I would like to share several samples, I think, about the design goals that we want to achieve and what kind of possible building performance evaluation that we can do. Because I see that some students working with more urban setting, so I would give this topic first about how we can perform this building performance evaluation, but in more urban setting, and also we're looking at some example in the building scale. So looking at the urban setting, we can think about if you're designing a public space or open space, we can using this building performance evaluation to maximizing the dialect in the open space. So maximizing the dialect in public space have several benefits, like increase the public engagement to utilizing the space, and using a really simple simulation like the shadow simulation, which can be done in really simple software like SketchUp or ArchiCAD, as long as it has the geotagging or geolocation, you can do that. And by doing this simple analysis or evaluation, you will have some kind of justification about how you place your public space. So you put the public space in the area which it get maximum dialect during the day, or maybe if you prefer it to be more dialect in the morning and less like sun penetration in the afternoon, you can apply with this and analyzing the surrounding area, the urban environment, and to find the best place or the best location for your open space. People also try to assess the mobility on streets because it's increased the urban comfort, it's increased the mobility, and also activate the streets. So currently it's known as solar right to protect public space like the sidewalk. So we can also do that if we are going to give intervention to the city streets. It can be done like with the sunlight hour during the day. We can analyze it through the year, or maybe in several months we can do that. And also we can also experiment with sunlight penetration on outdoor and indoor environment. Sunlight is kind of very important aspect, especially affecting the mental and physical well-being, where currently in the pandemic situations, more people working at home or maybe stay in their nearby area. So maybe we can also think about this, that the sunlight penetration that we can evaluate in our area or in our building can give some impact if you have the design goals about the mental and physical well-being. This next example is about improving the social qualities in public housing with the intention to dividing the public space. So the design aims of this area, new urban communities, increase the sense of ownership in the public space. Those people tend to utilizing the space. Thinking about we creating a public space, no one utilizing it or no one really want to use it, not because of the design is bad, but rather than maybe it's not feasible, it's not easy to access, or maybe it's not comfort enough to be on that area. So doing this kind of evaluation will help us to increasing the and to activate the public space that we design. The figure on the left is talking about the feasibility. The red area is an area which is more visible from the entire site, and the blue area is an area which is more more hidden from the entire space. It means that it's more private. So you can use the blue area for maybe having a private open space or maybe private garden. But if you thinking about activating the public space, the area with high visibility has a higher chance to be more occupied by the public or by the inhabitant in that area. So maybe thinking about designing the public space in the area which has higher visibility in terms of this figure is the area with red color. We can also testing about the accessibility. The red one is the most connected pathway and is less connected one. So it means that the red pathway, that's one is easier for people to access, and maybe there will be more people utilizing that pathway. We can also test the sunlight penetration on the public space, looking at the summer sunlight and also winter sunlight. People really love to have a public space with light. Yeah, so because especially maybe in the winter, people really looking for sunlight to make the body warmer. But maybe you can also thinking it could be maybe something different in Indonesia. Maybe in Indonesia, some people avoiding sunlight or maybe not the sunlight, but the solar heat or the solar heat gain. So it could be very different. Looking at this kind of assessment or evaluation depends on the climate and also the design intention that you have. This is in this example, they try 6 alternatives of urban development and they tested the thermal comfort. And from that 6 alternative, it's shown how the thermal comfort in the thermal comfort occur in that area. How is which part of that area become more comfort and less comfort? Then from that 6 alternative, we can choose which one is the best based on what we really want it to be that area. So using this building performance evaluation, we can test to our alternative and pick the one which is more closer to our design intention or our design goals. We can also utilizing some software tasks of the visual. So for example, you design a building and you want to maximize the visual access from their building, what can we do? We can try to manage the design to make that visually condition in the building can be achieved. So we can test our design. For example, this is like the first design here, and the second design has a hole on it, and it could increase the visually or the visual connection to the surrounding area from that two building on the back. So this kind of evolution can really give us justification of why we choose that kind of design. I will give some example to in the building scale. Yeah. So that's the urban scale, and we can locate in the building scale. This is an example of experiment on the directing road. So that test on two different layout alternative. The first layout here with open space are layout, and the other one with like some room, like meeting room or classroom inside of that open office. And the task on the how people move in that building, the possibility how people accessing the rooms and also moving around that interior part of the building. And using this kind of evaluation, we can choose about what we really want to have in our design. So the best design from the alternative that is evaluated is the one that is closer to our intention. This is an example about a safe kitchen design for wheelchair user. So we can do that. It has 4 alternatives here, and they do the evaluation of the accessibility of that area for the wheelchair user. The dark blue one is the less dangerous area, and the red one is the most dangerous area. So that's the example that we can perform the evaluation of this accessibility. This is an example for doing the structural performance in grid cell design. So we want to see the displacement, the strength by having all of the grid cell elements and also some supporting point. And we can test it to see how the structure will react from the external load or also the internal load of that structure. The next one, this is the example of maximizing daylight using different room geometry and also the shading. So choosing several type of room geometry and also several shading form or shape, and we can evaluate in that various type of building geometry, which one has maximum daylight penetration to the room, and also which shading is the best to still control the sun penetration, but also maximizing the daylight to penetrate inside the room. We can also use this kind of solar radiation studies in our building envelope to put the right position of the shading. So we don't need to put the shading over the wall building envelope, but we can just select it based on the solar radiation studies. The one that get too much solar radiation, we can put shading on it, but in the area which has less solar radiation, we can remove the shading from that area. So the shading placement is become more efficient in terms of the number of it. We can reduce the construction cost, and yeah, to make the building cheaper, we can do that. This is similar thing using that's simulation on the facade of the solar irradiation to choose the best shading and also the window like window ratio in the building to find the best solution for the design goals. The next one, we can also using the generative design. If you have, for example, like the previous sample using 4 or 6 alternatives, but if you want to make it more, having more than one iteration, we can utilizing the generative design to optimizing any building performance that you want to put. For example, it could be minimizing the solar radiation or maybe reducing the wind pressure. We can do that using this generative design, and the computational process will help us to choose the best design in the end, based on our design intention or our design goals. So this example try to generate a design optimizing or I mean minimizing the solar radiation, and the parameter that is put is the building form and the orientation. So the computer will find the best building form and also the best orientation of that building based on the surrounding condition, and you can fix some parameter, like for example the building floor area. So the computer can generate a building form which has exact building floor area. Using generative design, actually it's help us to pass on several iterations, not only 4 or 6, but it could be 100 iterations, and the computer will help us to find the best design option based on our design goals that we want, and it's test on 100 iterations, which is you can have more variation on your design outcome. So maybe we can also apply all of that building performance that we want to achieve using this generative design. I think that's all what I can share for today. Hopefully some other lecturer who has more expert about this also can share about their experience on it. And really, I would also happy to hear some student progress about maybe what you did in the studio right now, and we can discuss about what kind of design performance evaluation or building performance evaluation that you can do for your design. I think that's all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bulia.
Thank you, Bu Aisya. That's very interesting presentation, very insightful, yeah. Okay, so I will invite students to join this discussion, or anyone from the tutors or from the lecturers to share about the design performance evaluation.
Yeah. If some lecturer want to add some more thing, I think they have more experience about it.
Yes, Dr. Asla, please. Is there any notion for this?
Well, I thank you, Aisya, for her detailed presentation. I think it's very useful for our students to understand what is building performance based design is, and how we can use generative design in accordance to the building performance parameters. Well, maybe it would be better if you mentioned the used software for doing this experiments. Maybe it would be helpful for our students. So like you mentioned many simulations, like in a urban sense, in a building sense, and also you mentioned some VR part of it, which I'm not very experienced with this VR issue. So I'm really interested in how you combine these two issues what kind of software do you use for this integration? So I'm basically more interested in software that you use. I think, yeah, it would be helpful for me and for our students. Thank you.
Okay, Dr.
Thank you
Aisya,
very
thank
much.
you.
Yeah,
Maybe you may respond, Bu Aisya.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Some of the
Dr. Azla.
softwares,
So
yeah,
the softwares, there actually currently there's a lot of software we can use for the building performance simulation. So I think it's really neat. It's really so. I mean, every one of you can choose what kind of software you're familiar right now and what kind of performance that you want to assess. For example, if you for me, actually, I really into Grasshopper thing because Grasshopper is open platform where a lot of people, develop more and more plugin every year, and we can really utilize that for helping us doing the design based on the real simulation, or I mean, we can use it as a justification for our design. So if you really want to learn deeper about this, so I suggest you to work with the Grasshopper. If looking for the performance related to the sunlight, solar radiation, you can choose the Ladybug tools that really helpful, that very simple. So please try with that. I think like our current student really into YouTube, so it's something really easy to find in YouTube, the tutorials. But if you don't have the capability for using that kind of software, a simple software like SketchUp and Occupant can perform this shadow simulation. That's not very, I would say not very detailed simulation, but from that set of simulation, we can really understanding about the urban area that we going to design. And as simply as if it has more shade during the day, it is less warm. But if that area has less shade during the day, it will be warmer. So from that simple simulation, we can really understand about the situation or the urban condition that we have. But absolutely, working with grasshoppers is, I think, the most easy and also most rich with the plugin that can help us. For the crowd simulation, I think Bulia have more information about that. About what's it like iSurface? What is Bulia? I think you know more about the crowd simulation because you do more research about that. I use also a simple software like a depth map X for the accessibility. Yeah, talking about accessibility, we can do that, and also for the visual connection, we can use the depth map X. That's part of space syntax simulation. What else? I think currently I'm more into Ladybug tools because I do a lot of simulation with the solar irradiation and also daylight.
Yeah, thank you,
please,
Aisya.
if the other have some more experience about this.
So I agree with Bu Aisya. There are lots of platform, but for Grasshopper itself, I think students can explore from the Food for Rhino, right, Bu Aisya?
Yeah.
So every student can choose what kind of add-on or what kind of extension that you will need to explore with the design statement, maybe with the design problems. Of course, every student have different design problems. So yeah, just explore from the Food for Rhino, for example. But there's a lot of things that you can explore from the software and the use of simulation. Thank you, Bu Aisya. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Asla. Is there any response, Bu Asla, Dr. Asla?
Oh it's fine. Thank you. Maybe I'm curious about this VR connection, virtual reality connection, but the other things actually I know these are
of course.
these things, and maybe it's you can say it is important to use Galapagos and Octopus for the multi-objective optimization, so on. But this VR connection, how we can do it?
For any response?
For my, I mean, I don't really use that. So because I think VR is more suitable for working with the space perception. Because if we use just the building performance simulation, the space perception is, interpret that the calculation of that. But using the VR, we can use that to have the spatial perception from the real human. For example, we put it in ourselves or in our friend. Then you have the design, whether, for example, is it the area or the room, is it more intimate or is it feels more open, the openness and the closeness of spatial perception. I think that's the one thing which is the plus thing from the VR, which is it will be hard to be put in the building performance simulation, and also like the crowd simulation. I think the evacuation, you can actually use the real person to feel about that experience.
Okay, thank you, Aisya. And if I may, we can start technically for VR with an Unreal Engine, if I'm not wrong. So we can explore with Unreal Engine and then develop the 3D model, and then the response to the VR and analysis with Unreal Engine. I guess some of our students has already started to use it and at least explore it for just for fun because it's not taught yet in the class. Thank you, Dr. Asla and Bu Aisya. I see Pak Wing raised his hand. Please, Pak Wing.
Can you hear me? My
voice? Yes, loud and clear. Pak Wing,
thank you. It's well, the end of evaluation is usually recommendation, right? I mean, if the process of evaluation usually end up with you recommend something or action or interventions, do you see any software that us toward that goes beyond just to measure, but also give kind of recommendation of action that you can do? Is there any software that has that capacity, or really, I'm not quite familiar with this all this software, but yeah.
Okay, thank you,
in terms of if we want it as a design outcome, I think the optimization or the generative design is maybe the answer for that. One of the answer for that. So in the generative design, the computer will create the design, so not us who create it. So it's kind of the form finding process. If we create the design, it means that form making. So we create the design. So it is the form making process. But when the computer did it for us, it's called as the form finding process. So we don't lead it how the design should be, but we set the parameter about what kind of design intention that we want to put. For example, we have we want to design about a kampong. That's the topic, right? We want to design about a kampong. We just we can put the parameters like how big is the house, and also how is the density of this kampong, and maybe if we have some kind of design intention, like I want that the kampong has a good accessibility in terms of evacuation if there is, like this natural disaster or something like that. So how can the computer help us to arrange the building arrangement on that kampong? Using the generative design, the computer can give several alternatives, which meet with our design intention as close as possible. But we don't creating it. The computer find the best solution on it.
Right.
Is that answering it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what, because when in your presentation, I thought we have to do a kind of a trial and error after we evaluate the existing building, for instance, because
if we don't use the generative design, that's what we do. So we create the design first, we test it, then maybe we do some change or put intervention on it, we test it again. So that's like the manual thing we can do.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do it manually, like testing several alternatives, pick the best one, but we can also use the generative design to make it faster and closer to our design intention.
Yes,
okay, thank you, Bu Aisya.
You're
Thank
very
you,
welcome,
Pak for the discussion. And there's other question or response from Mr. Gali Gunagama. Interesting presentation, Bu Yaya. I just want to ask, just in case some students are confused, where should we put the simulation on design process? Okay, whether it's best doing simulation after creating the design alternative or along with creating design alternative. Please, Bu Yaya.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous when Pak Gali asking. I thought it will be a very hard question.
Yeah.
My suggestion is for the student, you can pick a tool. For example, if you are going to use the generative design, so it's before you start the design process. So it's part of the form finding process or form making. Yeah. When you generating the form, that's when you put this building performance evaluation. But if only you creating using the generative design. But if you want to do it manually, you create the design first. So you do it after you finalize your design. But this is in the initial stage of the design. Don't postpone it after you make it so detailed. So just the building matching, that is enough for doing this building performance evaluation. Because I don't say that it's it's important for the student to really calculate it detail, rather than it's better to have it in the design process. In the initial design, you test it first. After you get the performance that meet your design goals, then after that you make it more detailed in the design development process. So don't postpone it until the design development process, but do it in the initial stage. I don't know, maybe Gali have any other insight or experience about this?
That will go along with the passive design principles too. Because before everything started, we should prepare for the massing and something else. Okay, thank you, Bu Aisya. Any response? Other response, Pak Gali, please.
Yeah, I think basically the presentation is really interesting. As I believe maybe there's some confusions because sometimes in our class we ask the students to please sketch your alternatives with using manual design, and then but up to some points we ask the students to do the simulations and interprets the results, and then ask them to do the revisions. It's I do the same thing also because I think that's still can help the students to be more creative by creating the mass first. But I think there's two kind of situations over here. That first is about the effectivity, if I'm not wrong, mistakes, and maybe there's another one about the aspect of the creativity. But basically I agree with both. And maybe which one is the best is maybe the students needs to try themselves which one is the best for them. But there's a good thing and a bad thing about both way, but we hope that by using this we can get the better results, the best results, I think. Thank you very much. Maybe.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I very understand. Maybe Pak Gali want to emphasize about the the creativity using the freehand drawing to like when students doing the brainstorming using that kind of thing rather than put it directly to the computer. And I very agree with that because even though we want to use the computer as a tool to help us in designing process, we need to prepare everything first. We need to create the conceptual of that. Even we use the parametric design, we need to set what kind of parameter that we want to use, what kind of parameter what we want to check. So absolutely doing the brainstorming using the manual thing and freehand drawing, that will be really helpful and something I agree that that's very important.
Yes,
thank you,
Aisya.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Gali.
Yes, there's no linear thing in design process, right? Sometimes we have to go back and forth with the design. So yeah, just enjoy the ride, students.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other students want to respond or ask about this design performance evaluation presentation from Bu Aisya, please? It's a very interesting session, actually. So this is a special session before Ramadan, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Bu Aisya.
Happy Ramadan, everyone.
Bulia, may I ask a question?
Yes, please, Mas Rian.
About the design evaluation performance, some of the students, they involved in, they try to solve the issues in maybe in social or community scale, other than like solar or heat or use VR. Is there any kind of design performance test or evaluation that the students can use or apply in order to see the effectiveness of their design related to the community or social in space?
Thank you, Mas Rian. Bu Aisya, would you like to respond?
Maybe the other way can give more additional comment about this, but my comment is one example that I saw about the social participation or how the public can activate a public space that already be designed. I think that can be one of example of it. So the intention of that design is to activate the public space, but how to do that? We really need to know what people really want to do, or maybe why people want to activate an area, because maybe it is interesting, yes, but also there's other parameter. I think not all of the social parameter can be evaluated. Easily, maybe there's a tool for that, but maybe that will be not easy to do that in the building performance simulation. But something like the visual connection, the visual connectivity, and also the accessibility of the space, that can lead to another conclusion about maybe this space is easier to engage public to utilizing that space. So maybe can think about something like that. So for example, you designing a public space or a public open space for the community. So it's mean that you want that the community utilizing that public space, right? But then how we can having that kind of area where people interested to comment. We need to create some parameter about why people want to come or activate that public area, whether is it hidden or is it shown. If it's easier for them to access it visually, it means that it's clearly shown in that public area. So maybe people tend to use or utilizing that public space, but if it's hidden, maybe it means that it can be utilizing by some people or private community. So we can think about that. And also the accessibility is also talking much about that social connection between people, how we want the people like we creating a private space for them, or we want an area where people can meet together. So it means that we need to increase the accessibility of that area and also the connectivity of that area to the other space. I don't know whether it's answer you, Mas Rian, but maybe the other can have more comment, like Julia or Pak Gali can have more comment on it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bu Aisya. As I stated before, maybe you can for some parameter like environmental analysis or environmental based design, you can use Dragonfly, Mas Rian, for public space scale. Yeah. Yes, you may develop from there, or for something like Isophase for or DevMatX, something like that, Mas Rian. But basically, sometimes in this kind of design, you have to break down the parameter into dependent and independent parameter. What kind of analysis that we need to provide to develop the design? For example, with the psychological analysis, what kind of correlation can be used basically for that kind of design. Okay, Mas Rian?
Thank you, Bulia and Boisha.
Can I add
You're
a little
welcome.
bit?
Yes, Pak Gali, please.
Okay. Maybe this one based on my perspective, yeah. Maybe it's not back on any paper, but I think that there's something that needs to be changed by using this kind of simulations, especially on the discussions when we will do the simulations for social or maybe more qualitative thing. I think that we need to change our perspective as well. It's not the simulations, maybe it's not just doing this thing in a mathematical way, but maybe we need to see that anything basically can be translated into data and informations, and by looking the social interactions, for example. I think we should see it in this term. Yeah, I mean, we should see it not as just in a qualitative way, but in a more quantitative way. Like, for example, if we wants to create some place that people needs that we will attract people to come. Maybe we can do some assumptions before in terms of their behaviors, and then create some maybe analogy from their activities, and then do it think it as a data movement. For example, if wants to like maybe maybe we can create something first, for example the magnets, and then we can create we can try to simulate how people react for that kind of magnets. So basically, it's for me in particular think that maybe simulations is not just about the numbers, but changing the overall informations into the data and use it as our best interest, especially to make this solution to make a better solutions. Yeah, that's what I think about. Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Gali. It's very interesting.
Maybe
Yeah.
I would like to add something. Of course, I agree with this quantitative and qualitative perspectives. We should use both and so on, but there is no way to calculate this quantitative approach qualitative approach, like the behavior of the humans and so on. Of course, there are studies about that too. It's a very brand new subject. Actually, it's connected to machine learning, because you will have big data about human behaviors.
Yes.
It could be from face recognition, or it could be from the walking directions, like a tendency and so on. So we can get all this data, and we can evaluate with this data with machine learning, with the deep learning systems, and then still we can we will transform this data to numbers at the end. But still, for this, I mean, at the moment, for this kind of design perspective, we need a mathematical data. So we have to admit this. I mean, for now, I don't know in the future. But I have a question for everybody. Because it just came in my mind after your discussions. I mean, it's an interesting discussion, by the way. So we talk about generative design and building performance parameters, and with kind of space syntax parameters like integration, visuality in the urban sense. Can we use this depth map X data in generative design process with the inclusion of other building performance parameters like daylighting, solar radiation, and so on? And in the urban sense, it would be brand new research, you know. Can we do like, okay, we are capable of doing a generative design with using well-known parameters like daylighting, radiation, and what did you say, like shadow, so on, in urban sense? I mean, of course we can analyze this a kind of urban pattern with this space syntax tools, which is very easy, by the way, according to this generative design process. So can we get the data from depth map X, and can we take this data and can we include this data to the Grasshopper, the script, the multi-objective optimization script, and can we create a urban masses according this 3 or 4 objectives?
Yes. Please, Bu Aisya, would you like to respond?
Well, it's become, I don't know, it's heavy. I don't know if
of course there is no answer. There is no study about it, but can we do it? It's maybe the beginning of something.
Sure. So I think that goes to the multi-objective optimization, I think, because we comparing about the integration, the accessibility, and also maybe some other parameters like that lighting or maybe solar radiation. I think we go to the multi-objective optimization. We're going to that way. I think there's a plugin in Grasshopper. I can't remember, but maybe Bulia know the
spiderweb.
Spiderweb.
Space syntax and spiderweb. You can use space syntax and spiderweb.
Space syntax and spiderweb. That's one. It's actually one of plugin in Grasshopper. So because it's already there, the plugin, so we can do, of course, the multi-objective optimization using the octopus, something like that. So there will be more comprehensive evaluation, not only from the physical aspect, but also how the human behavior will utilizing it. Yeah, I don't know if the student can go to this direction. I'm thinking about something simple that student can perform it during the design stage in their studio. So like doing the qualitative, the big data, like, I don't know if I can also do that. Maybe the other like Julia and Dr. Asla can do that, but for me, I think that's not my experience on that. But it's very possible for someone doing that using the big data, looking at the people behavior, but also the simple simulation using the agent-based modeling. Maybe a student can start with that, using the agent-based modeling to see how the human behavior utilizing the public space and also building, or maybe also the streets. Yeah, but that's kind of like the next level. For those of you who really want to follow that next level, please go to that direction.
Yes, thank you, Bu Aisya.
With that, anyone maybe want to give some more additional comment or experience?
Yeah, I see Pak Barito is joining this session too. Maybe you'd like to share something, Pak Barito or Pak Aryadi. Oh, Pak Ilya is already joining too. Assalamualaikum, Pak Ilya.
Salam. I'm doing tandem with RTN, Rapat Tinjauan Mutu Management meeting. So it's a little bit.
Yeah.
So I just I will rather passively hear the speech and information. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ilya. Okay, I would like to invite Pak Barito or Pak Aryadi, please. Would you like to share something about this idea about big data and then about the
maybe Pak Aryadi know more about this phase syntax thing.
Of course.
Yeah,
Pak Aryadi.
He's the expert.
Okay. But good notion about the big data book, Dr. Asla, because we are using data every day right now, because just like it will be helpful for architects to use that kind of approach. Yeah, actually, last semester we already invite statistic department to join for this kind of lecture, but yeah, it's still developing. Okay, I would like to invite students to share your opinion and respond for this presentation and this idea. Please, students, do you have anything to share? Your design process or anything that going to the design performance evaluation?
I think that will be interesting if some students can share about their design goals or intention in the project that they have currently, and we can discuss about, or maybe we can suggest about what kind of building evaluation or performance evaluation that you can use in your design.
Yes. Please, students. Yeah, they're a little bit shy.
How about for a final design student, ma'am? Can I?
Oh, of course. Please, Mas Kemal, you may share opinions or asking about something, please.
Firstly, I would like to thank you, Miss Aisya, for the lecture, and secondly, first of all, I'm trying to make a flood-resistant housing in my town. That's my design intention. And right now, I'm trying to experiment with Grasshopper, trying to create several generative models to create a flood simulation. So for several parts, it has been successful in many ways. So I've tried using flow design several times, but what you have said before, I haven't thought of generative design. That's the one I wanted to ask about. Generative design, is that usually, how do you say it? do we consider the surrounding outside buildings as a one of its factors, or we can use the for my flat only for landscape? Do you have any suggestion on that?
Okay, thank you, Mas Kemal. Bu Aisya, may you respond?
Yeah, maybe I will try, and Julia can also add something, because I don't know whether I really know about this or not. If there's something miss from my answer, you can give some more additional comment, yeah, Mas Kemal. Hey, Kemal. So it's about flat simulation. I never done that before, actually. But if it's about flow design, yeah, I've experimenting about that. So what kind of performance that you test? Is it the structural performance or what?
For now, I'm trying to see the visual outcome of the flood. So
the spread of the flood, like that?
The spread of the flood.
Oh, okay.
That's the
well, so you designing like an area?
Yes, an area.
To minimize the spread of the flood?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's good. Yeah, but we really need to see each project more detail about what you want to design that. But related to the generative design, your first question is about whether we need to consider the surrounding area, right? We can do that. Or if you want to think that there's nothing on that area, you can just remove it. But actually, yes, we can considering like the environment aspect or the environment setting of our design. Absolutely, we can do that. But talking about the generative design, the first thing that we need to set is what kind of the design intention that we want. So because the generative design working with the optimization of something, so whether you want to maximize or minimize it. For example, you're talking about the spread of maybe the spread of the water, maybe because it's flood. So you want to minimize the spread of the water in terms of optimizing it. You can give comment if it's wrong. But if I think about that, and then you want to generate a building organization on that area to minimize that spread of the water, so you can have a fixed parameter and also the parameter that can change. So you need to define that first. So the first is your objective is to minimize the spread of the water. Then what you want to keep. For example, you want to keep the density of the area and also the size of the building. You can keep that as the fixed variables, but also then you ask the optimization tools to working with several aspects. For example, the first one is maybe the arrangement of your building, or maybe the form of your building, whether it's like thin or maybe it has thicker cross section. What kind of building layout that we can have, you can keep that as a flexible parameters, and the computer can calculate.
Mas botol tuh di depan gini, di belakang.
Novel, please.
And the computer can generate the most optimal solution for that intention that you have in terms of maybe the building arrangement and also the building geometry. So then they will suggest you with that optimal solution. Maybe the optimal solution can be not only in one variety, it can be several variety, but with this same result of that performance that you want to test or that you want to achieve.
Yes, thank you, Bu Aisya.
Answer your question, maybe Bulia or other
Maybe can I add a little bit?
Yeah. Yes, please, Pak Gali.
Maybe that's we need to go basic with the generative design, yeah, Mas Kemal Adro. Basically, generative design, as long as I know, it's you are mimicking the concept in the biology it's basically like you starting from the genes, from the gene, either it's for animal or maybe human, and then you try to mate those genes, and then you set the final results that you need to have by the end of the modeling. Hence it called generative. So it comes from that kind of perspective. So maybe I don't quite as I believe what I agree with Bu Aisya mentioned, that we need to see your individual projects as so we can give more advice on your design. But I think that you need to come up with initial initial conditions, and maybe as so-called parents conditions of visual as a starting point, and then it's come from the parameters and maybe numbers or anything that you think it's important, and then you set the goals, the numbers that you need to achieve, like what Bu Aisya said, you either you maximize or minimize the numbers. So yeah, basically you have to see again what kind of genes that you would like to put there, and then how the gene pools and the mates between those variables can end up to something cute, like a cats or maybe anything. But yeah, you have to come up with that kind of principles before you go further to your simulations, I think. Yeah, thank you. Maybe that's some additional.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Gali. If I may state it, Mas Kemal can use or can develop from decoding spaces.net if you'd like to explore from that. It's very interesting toolbox, I think, for grasshopper-based simulation. So you can find what will suit your design problems or design parameters. It could be from the load of the force load from the flood, or is it about the area of the flood or something like that. You may explore, because yeah, as Bu Aisya mentioned before, it's about the parameter that you'd like, the design inquiries that you'd like to develop in the design. So yeah, you may explore from there. Thank you, Mas Kemal.
Thank you, Miss Aisya, Miss Lia, and Mr. Gali.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is there any other question and discussion? Students, please. Maybe you'd like to ask or question about the design parameters that you've already used in your design or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting if students can use their case study, their own design, and
yes,
discuss it here. This is your forum, because I see all the question coming from mostly lecturer.
Lecturer and one final project students. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I will invite students, or Mas Rehan, would you like to share your experience? One that I know using this kind of approach.
I understand that maybe not all students have interest to the design performance evaluation. I understand, but there is like maybe some students didn't really love to work with the physics or something like that. So it's really understandable to see maybe not all of you interested in it. But I'm thinking that even though you don't interest in it, having it as the justification of your design process and also the design result, it's really good idea to make to give a more strong reasoning about your design process. And also you don't need to think it's like the generative design. Maybe that's only for those who really want to learn it deep. But as simple as using the shadow simulation or any software you can use, it's not always Grasshopper. A simple software like, what's it like, simple software, I think like Occupant, what else, like the flow design, you can absolutely utilizing that, or map X for the specifics. That's a simple software. You don't need to learn about parametric design, but absolutely you can test your design and you get the justification about your design results. So don't worry if you are not a Grasshopper person.
Don't have to. But about the evaluation, I think all students have to agree about the performance, about the evaluation itself, of course, because that would state your design point, design effectiveness, and something like that. Okay. Oh, okay, there's a private chat to me. Who is it? Okay, Mas Rehan, would you like to share your experience or ask question, please?
I think someone is also raising hand, William.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Humaira, please share your opinion. Thank you.
Hi, not in project, but last semester we made a project in urban scale also, creating not creating but making better city area. And we were in my project. I tried to make green roofs and something like this, but I didn't know any information about this. And where should I begin it? I mean, I was thinking eco building and eco roofs and green roofs, and I didn't know where should I begin. I made it, okay, but how should I make it?
Okay, thank you, Humaira. Bu Aisya, would you like to respond?
Yeah, maybe I have several questions for. So, what you design is the green roof or the building with green roof?
I was trying to. I wanted to create good building for good materials, but I couldn't made it. But how should I made it? And also I tried to made it green roofs, botanical gardens.
What you really want to do with the design? What you want to?
I wanted to make better materials, botanical gardens, botanical roofs, but I couldn't make all. How should I made it? How should I evaluate it?
Yeah. So, why do you think the green roof and that similar thing important in your design?
It was in city center, the area, and we wanted to, and it was a big, huge area, and we want to create a better city, green city for coronavirus also.
So it's for the public space. The green roof is for public space. So you have other option other than the green roof, or that's your final option, but you want to design it?
I just wanted to design it.
Okay.
I mean, this was the houses place, apartments, but I wanted to design botanical roofs or something like that.
So in my perspective, I think it's really depend on your design intention, because people can design a green roof but with different intention. Some people design the green roof to reduce the heat to penetrate to the building, but some other people also design the green roof to make a public space or green open space for the community. So if that's your intention, so you need to look about whether that's green roof is accessible for people, whether it's feasible for people, or maybe whether the location is good enough for all the inhabitants to activate it. Maybe I'm thinking about that. I believe that every one of you have your own design intention.
Yeah.
Is that answering, or you have a comment about that?
No, it's
Maybe
okay.
what Humaira said is about the surface optimization for.
Oh, the surface optimization.
Is it right,
For the
Humaira?
green. Is that?
One of it?
don't know. I couldn't understand what you said.
Okay.
So the first thing that we really need to know is our design intention. What you really want to offer as a solution, for example. What kind of issue happening there and what kind of solution that you want to offer.
We would create a better city, recreating city, and we wanted to. We all have some areas with my group mates, and we create 5,000 metric square with. Sorry. We are trying to make a better city for coronavirus because there was no tree there and there was no green place there. Just we were trying to make that better, and there was so many traffic there. I'm thinking I will create botanical gardens, but there is exhaust and something like this. I don't know how I would think about that. Where should I begin? From material, building material, or botanical gardens, or I don't know. I made it.
Yeah. That what is the end of the project, because you already finished the project, right?
Yeah.
How is the end of it? Could you share the project, the final project?
Okay, just
so how it look like?
How is green roofs? I mean, botanical gardens, green places in the levels, always.
So you're creating more than one green open space?
For example, there was houses in the level, but also there is green open space in the level. For maybe
you want to design the green open space, right?
Yeah, I made it, but I don't know, is it correct way or not?
Yeah.
I don't know how should I
start with
that.
Yeah. For maybe this is my opinion. For example, you have a residential area, a housing area, and you want to design a green open space there because this coronavirus thing, people need somewhere to go, but it's in open space. From my perspective, or this is my opinion, I will start with the thing like the sunlight exposure. For me, I think during the coronavirus, people will want to get as much sunlight. So a place where they can go and they get sunlight because it can increase their immune system, make them healthier. So maybe I will test about the solar penetration in that area, and I will pick an area which has maximum solar penetration during the day. Then if I got that area, I can test also with other things. For example, I get more than one area which has a good solar penetration on it. I will test for the accessibility, for example, to make sure that everyone is easily to access that area. Then we can pick, oh, maybe this is the best option for me to design the green open space.
Okay.
Okay. Or maybe Bulia have other opinion or suggestion.
Yes, because we can receive it from many points of view. Humaira. From my point of view, I think you can start it with the surface optimization for the green area. So that what kind of performance would you like to propose for the percentage of, okay, maybe it's to standard, but I think we can start from the standard. For example, we can use the standard of 40% of green area in the urban area, and then what kind of shape, what kind of surface that you can use in your existing site to gain more than 40%, for example, like that.
Okay.
But that's just one point of view. I think one thing that to be shared with the urban design is that yeah, we should perceive with many point of view.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
just one.
I can add something.
Yes, yes, Dr.
Here.
Asla, please. Yeah.
Well, I more or less understand Humaira's question, but I think this question actually shows us our as professors in this semester our success. Why? Because now Humaira started to think why question. Because in this semester we are letting we are letting students to find an urban problem, and then we force them to find a solution for this urban problem. So it is the projects are dependent to reason and solution concepts. So now I realize that Humaira started to go back her previous project, and she questioning what she did, why she did. So I think this is a success for us, Ilya, and all the contributors. The students started to think why, how, and why this happened, and what will be the solution. Why I use this kind of green roof? Why did I use this? What was the reason for that? Is it because of the heat, or is it because of the social interaction? Is it because of the public space? What was the reason? I think it's a good start for questioning previous projects. Well, I think this is the reason for this question. Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Asla.
Yeah.
Yeah, asking why is the start of the every science in this world. Okay, thank you, Dr. Asla. And there's a note too from Pak Gali. Pak Gali chats me personally. Looking back to Dr. Asla said or asked about the multi-complex simulation involving big data. Actually, that's interesting challenge. We need bigger computer, obviously, and more complex algorithm to be developed. There will be hurdles, yeah, but in principle, I think it's possible. Yeah, Dr. Asla said that this is the start. This is the start of our success, and then, but in principle, it is possible, but maybe much harder since the parameter will be from many aspects and may contradicting each other. Yes, I think that's what Humaira said too. Each of the parameter could be contradicting each other, but yeah, that's a start to asking
That's
why
true.
and else's. Okay.
That's true.
Any other discussion, students? Not yet. Okay, Pak Wing, are you going to?
I'm listening.
Okay. Okay, I think, is there any closing remarks, Bu Aisya, for this session, if you'd like?
Well, I just want to say that it's my pleasure. Very thank you to give this opportunity. I know that other is more expert than me, but in the discussion, I see that we can share about the experiments, and I think this is something we can go. It's something like we can still doing it until the future. It's like timely topic that we can discuss. So I really hope that more students and more groups can utilizing this thing in their design, and absolutely it will give them a more strong justification of their design process. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Asle, Bulia, Pak Wing, Pak Gali.
You're welcome. Thank you, Bu Aisya. Thank you, Dr. Asla. So thank you, Bu Aisya, for giving us insights and inspiration about design performance evaluation. It was a very fruitful discussion actually for our students and all of our lecturers, for all of us. But unfortunately, we have to close the discussion. And after this, please, student join the parallel class for the ADS2 student and for joint studio students. Please, Bu Asla, if Dr. Asla, is there anything to be stated for the class?
For our students, Ilya and my students can live here. I mean, don't leave, just be here, and we can continue from this link.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Asla. Thank you for all of us. We should say Alhamdulillah all together. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. And we close this session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Thank you very
wabarakatuh.
much.
Thank you, Pak Win,
Assalamualaikum
Pak Aryadi.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Pak
bye-bye.
Asla, Bu Aisha, thank you very
Everyone.
much.
Aisya,
Pak Gali.
Sharifah.
Very welcome. Thank you, everyone.